27th meeting of the Energy Environment Advisory Committee at 7:05. Will the secretary call the roll?
Joe Lamartina, President. Ellen Reed.
Present.
Patrick.
Present.
Alec.
Present.
Roberta.
Present.
Excused are Juliana and Bill. I don't know everybody's last name, so
That's fine. I think first names are enough. And
we do have enough for a quorum.
we do have enough for a quorum, thank you. And do we have anybody in the public? No, we don't have anybody in the public to have any comments. And so the town, I was recently on a meeting of all the committee and board chairs of the town, and we are being assigned staff people to assist with research and also make sure that we have all of our documentation submitted to the town. Is that correct? Our staff person is our town engineer, Lindsay Butler, and would you like to introduce yourself, say things?
Sure. My understanding is the same, that I'm the staff liaison, so available to answer questions, provide assistance in research, and assist the committee in general. So I'll be attending as many meetings as I can. I am the town engineer. I have been the town engineer in Newmarket for just over a year and like 2 weeks. So
awesome.
Excited to get involved here, and I guess I'll leave it at that for now.
Yay. Welcome.
Yes.
There may be things that we talk about that we will pick your brain and rely on your expertise for. So we have minutes from June 28th. The August meeting did not have a quorum, so they could not vote on the June. There was no July meeting. Could not vote on the June minutes. Would somebody? Well, first, is there any?
I'll make a motion to approve the June 28th.
Moved by Joe Lamantina.
Second.
Seconded by Roberta Bronca. All those in favor?
Aye.
If you were here in June, and opposed. Okie dokie.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I gotta.
If you weren't here in June, you cannot. June now you cannot vote. June was several months ago.
So
I was here.
We have 2 abstains and
I mean,
three abstains, right?
I was here.
I was here in June.
Everyone was here,
Okay.
yeah.
Alex was not.
I'm on the minutes, so I know I was here.
And the minutes are always right?
Well,
Okay.
I have notes from that meeting too.
1, 2, 3 approved and 2 abstained.
Okay.
So motion passes.
Yeah. Okay, updates from meeting of town committee chairs. Like I said, Lindsay Butler is joining us to assist us. Another thing that the town did, and this is my understanding, and Lindsay, you can chime in at any point, is that long term the town would like to provide all of the committees with cloud access, because many of the committees more complicated than ours even, have resorted to creating their own Google Drives. We have in the past, back when Peter was chair, had to have a Google Drive to keep track of all the documents. So we don't really have a shared drive right now. Roberta and I are working on a shared document, but we still have the old one, but there's been no updates to the shared drive with the current makeup, I don't think. But I'm looking forward to that, because it'll be nice to have a more streamlined system that everything goes straight to the town, and you don't have to worry about if a chair disappears, then where are the documents?
I wanted to bring up, back when Peter was chair, rather than putting things on a cloud drive for the town, the secretary, which was me for a while, emailed them directly to Wendy Chase. And you usually send her the minutes, right?
Yeah, after they're approved, I send those.
Okay, so she is getting the documents from us. That's great. Okay.
I have in the past emailed her or included her on emails with the agenda. When Joe kind of took over doing agendas, I think he's copied her on all of those. So I will just rely on the town to inform us if we're missing any.
Mm-hmm.
But we should have all of the agendas and minutes submitted.
Great.
Social media accounts, another thing is, and I don't know, perhaps Lindsay knows, whether they will create the social media accounts for us, if we're expected to like have a person on our committee to create social media accounts, and if so, would somebody want to volunteer? But the idea is to have the Newmarket Energy and Environment Advisory Committee social media accounts. So that would be Facebook, Twitter X, whatever it's called now. We could even do things like Insta, whatever. So, and that we would be allowed, and in fact encouraged, to use the town seal, which is by law only allowed to be used for town purposes. And the point of this is to notify, obviously, town people of what we are doing. Well, I think obviously most of the town probably doesn't know that we're working on a suggested master plan for energy, or a energy chapter to our master plan, and I think we might get more people here giving us their input if they knew. Also, if anybody does want to kind of like be the person for the social media, then the strong advisement is to shut down comments on posts. 2 reasons. A, social media and comments. B, if like, say Joe posted something on Facebook and 3 other committee members started commenting on that post, that would constitute an illegal meeting.
Okay.
That was not properly noticed according to 91A. So always be cognizant of, because we have a 9-member committee that currently has 2 empty seats. Our quorum is 5, and if 5 of us are talking together in anywhere, whether it's a parking lot, an email thread, social media, texting, and it's about anything that's before us, that constitutes an illegal meeting, unless we properly notice it.
We used to have an account, I used to be one of the managers on it, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't even know if I am anymore, or if it even exists. I can look into that.
Social media for our committee?
Just for Facebook, yeah.
Ah,
There is, Pete Nelson still runs it.
Oh, okay.
interesting.
It's the Newmarket Energy and Environment,
Yeah,
or just Energy and Environment, I'm not sure.
okay, I'll look into whether
Yeah, it's still out there. A couple of times he said he'd turn it over to us, but he hasn't.
All right, I'll look into that and I'll contact him about
Okay.
turning it over to us.
Action item for Roberta.
Yeah.
Contact Pete and take over the Facebook account. I think this is a good start. Is there anyone else interested in doing like any of the other social medias? Media?
I can teach myself Instagram and Twitter.
Okay.
I have a Twitter account, which I assume is now an X account, but
Right.
whatever its deal is.
Any questions from the town chairs meeting?
It'll be good to have a shared drive where you can stick the energy chapter and all the things.
Now
that we're
we
working on.
do, and on that, back when Peter was the chair, and we have tons of documentation from Hanover and I think Peterborough and a bunch of other towns, but mostly Hanover, with all of their information. They gave us like an hour-long presentation. It was phenomenal on all the stuff they did.
Oh,
And
yeah.
all of it was basically servicing this idea of passing the resolution. We passed the resolution, so it's not really like active information for us at this point, but it's really good stuff. And they, like Hanover in particular, went on to contract with a pretty expensive firm in California to help them create their energy plan. So, yeah.
I would be concerned about putting a working document, like the planning document, on.
So no working documents, in terms of no working documents that we're all making, that's still an illegal meeting. If we're doing work on something that's before us, whether it's commenting on a shared document altogether or whatever, what we can do, and basically for us, because our quorum is 5, we can have 4 or fewer working on something outside of meetings together, but we can't have 5 people or more commenting on a shared document. So Roberta and I have been meeting a few times over the summer, and phone calls, and once I got back, meeting in person. and we've done work, and that's fine, but it's all tentative because we're gonna come before you, and then you get to have your input at the actual meeting.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't like that policy, that.
It's RSA.
Yeah.
It's RSA 91A.
It's a state,
It's a
it's the
state law.
sunshine, has to do with the sunshine law.
Just working on a shared document is an illegal meeting, I can't.
If it's a quorum of us that are shared on it, yes.
It has
I
to be
mean, how many,
four or
we've
two.
got tons of documents, well.
Oh, I know.
We've all gone in and, you know, you look at it, you review, add comments to it,
I'm familiar, and we did the same thing when I first joined this, and I didn't think anything about it. But Steve was very, very clear, that does constitute an illegal meeting, and I understand that. So basically, anything we do to deliberate on an issue that has been given to us under our charge, anything we do to deliberate as a quorum of the body, we have to, notice it so that the public can watch us deliberate. I know, it feels like it ties the hands for getting work done, right? But, that's why we can have subcommittees,
We can
unofficial
always-
subcommittees.
We can always add a person or two from this committee onto our subcommittee for the planning document. Would you like to be on our subcommittee, Joe?
Would you like to meet with us when we
no,
work on?
but I think everybody should be able to go into that document
And
read
make
it and add their
comments.
comments to it. And that doesn't, to me, that doesn't, should not.
Well, if you wanna clarify with Steve,
no,
if
no,
there's a
I'll-
way to do that.
Is that your recollection, Lucy, or?
I don't know. I
Okay.
didn't realize that would constitute, but I can see that.
I'll clarify that
Talk to
next Wednesday,
Steve.
we have a meeting, I'll just.
Yeah, talk to Steve, but he was very clear on the town chair's, meeting, and this is something we deal with the legislature all the time. Like, for example, so there's the full judiciary committee that had a bill in front of, and then they had a subcommittee on my bill, and I was emailing 3 of the 5 subcommittee members, and I had to very explicitly I can email them, because I'm not on the committee, but I had to explicitly tell them to not reply all, because that would constitute an illegal meeting, right? So it happens all the time.
Yeah, that I understand on the reply all, we get
Right.
slapped all the time for doing.
Right.
But, okay, I'll just clarify that. Again, I think we should be able to edit or make comments on
On a working
saying
document.
it's a meeting.
Perhaps if that document was viewable to the public and we noticed it in our town notices this is the notice of our meeting, so this is a notice for a viewable document the public can see as, like, they can't
That would be
comment.
legal. That would be, I mean, legal.
Legal, that would
Yeah.
perhaps make it legal. Perhaps Steve can,
I know there's comments about, right to law, right to know, about draft documents.
right.
Okay, then, if it's a draft, I don't know if it's subject to right to know law.
Everything we do as a committee, everything we do as any quorum of us is subject to right to know. Every single thing. Because we are operating, even if we have a Christmas party and 5 of us show up and we start talking about the energy plan, that is subject to right to know and also an illegal meeting. But it would still be subject to right to know. And we've been told, the 8 years I've been in the legislature, we've always been told, if someone does a right to know request, they could pull, like, your emails off of a personal Gmail account. Right? So, which is another thing that got brought up during the meeting of the chairs. Some of the committees are, and this was a kind of you can do it if you want, it probably is better, but having a dedicated email address just for the committee stuff. If you don't want to, that's fine. I think you can, maybe somebody.
We're using one right now to send our notices.
No, that's the group email.
Oh, this is individual.
I'm saying, so for example, gosh, what was the committee? I can't remember. But they all agreed as a committee to all go make Gmail accounts that said, like, their, first dot, last name dot, like, EE, or whatever their initials for their committee were, right? Newmarket EE or whatever, at Gmail. And so that's the email that they use with the group email. Having said that, I think there's a trick where you can like add like a dot something to your email, like it's like Ellen Reed at gmail.com, I think, and that would actually, was I not being picked up the whole time?
No, you're being picked up. It's not as loudly as you could be.
Oh, that's the first time anyone's ever said that to me. So, and maybe our fine tech people know this trick, but there's like a way you can like, basically it still comes to your regular email address, but the address you give out is that modified address. Yeah? Do you do whatever the modification is, .gmail.com?
Yep.
So the modification goes at the end. So if we wanted to do
No, that's what you can do. You can add a alias to your regular Gmail account so that they can email, say, Lindsay at energyenvironment@gmail.com.
Yeah, like that.
And then it will go to the energy environment.
But you get it in your regular.
Right, it'll
yeah.
go to that mailbox.
Right.
Wow,
Okay.
thank you.
And I think what that would do, if you ever had, what we're subjected to in 91A, and I know that there has been a history of Newmarket receiving 91A requests, right to know requests, multiple and sometimes onerous requests. I think what that would do would be limit that search to only emails that went to that address. In my non-expert opinion. Anything else on?
I have a question. This is only tangentially related to the email that we do have, the energy environment that we send group emails to. I receive the emails that other people send to that, like when Joe sends out the agenda. I know people are seeing them when I send them to that email because they respond to me. But when I send it out, I don't see what I sent as an email in my inbox. Does anyone else notice that?
It should be in your sent box. Is this the Gmail account you're using? Yeah, that's just like how Gmail displays emails. Again, we'll refer to the technological experts in the room, but my understanding is Gmail doesn't display simply sent emails in your inbox. You go to the sent folder to see the sent.
Yep.
If you respond to somebody or you sent something and they respond to you and you get it, then that's in your inbox and you can see that whole thread.
Okay, thank you. Then that's what's
I
happening.
missed
and
my
that's
calling as
what's
a tech person.
Okay.
I'm on the right committee. Okay. Anything else? Moving on, and have we given up on the projector? Oh. I don't know how to.
Is there something I can display, or?
I can, so being very careful that we're not sharing a quorum, I can share you on this document, and then if you can.
Well, now we're at a publicly noticed meeting.
Sure, and so everything, but if Joe tomorrow starts commenting, and then we had 2 other people also, then that would be a problem.
Oh, yeah, don't comment on
Well,
it.
curiosity, is it then on a Gmail file or like Google Doc?
It's on Drive.
Then you could log on to your account on his computer.
Oh, good point.
Then sharing it.
Okay. Passwords. Let's see. The true test. Okay.
You want the mouse, or you?
Sure, why not? And so this goes up to the screen?
He's got to.
He's got to do his magic?
I have an HDMI port.
Cool. You usually use Chrome? Joe, you usually use Chrome?
It's over on this side, Dave's.
Oh, he's got it, I guess. It's so wild. Is it like one power? Is that why we're plugging into it? Because it feels a little bit like human caterpillar.
Yeah.
Oh, the Newmarket plan is on there twice. Once because Joe had it on there for Lindsay, and then we have it on there, I think, later for you to.
Was there a
Was
reason,
there-
Lindsay, did you have comments specifically on our master? Guys, I didn't
Okay.
think you would know what we were doing.
Nope,
Okay,
yeah,
I
no,
didn't know if
think-
you had
I
planned.
thought Joe was maybe just, looking for an opportunity for me to provide an update on the timeline, is that what you were
Yes,
thinking?
yeah, what's
Yeah.
going on,
Okay,
That would
bring
be
them up to
great.
date, that it's not, we're working on a chapter, but there's
Right.
gonna be a whole rewrite of everything.
Gotcha.
yes.
I figured it was something like that too. Okay, so I left it on there.
All right.
Maybe I didn't put you on there.
I can address that now if you want.
Yeah,
There's
we
not
could
much
do
Sure,
that
while
now.
we're
to
waiting,
that,
yeah.
That would be great.
So, my understanding is that we are working with, SRPC, Stratford Regional Planning Commission, to do the full master plan update. So it will be, an update of all chapters, I believe, and potentially some reorganization. That hasn't gotten underway quite yet, but I know it's lined up for kickoff. I know Bart has recently had a baby, so he's taking some time here and there. But there's, a push to get that going in the next few months so that that process can get underway. And I know there are a number of other planning related, sort of focus chapter updates or plan developments that will be worked into this newer overhaul of the master plan.
Oh, great. Thank you, I'm so glad you're here.
Glad I could provide an update.
So if you're working with the county
The
on
Regional
it,
Planning Commission, yep.
is it a county-wide regional plan or is it
No,
ours?
it's,
Okay.
it's just that they will be assisting us with the Newmarket specific master
Great,
plan.
providing technical assistance
Yep.
and so forth. Wonderful.
It-
Sounds great.
They have a $90,000 budget to do this.
Yeah.
So,
And we're just one.
So I'm gonna, Joe, move your, I gotta move my microphone and the laptop closer together. Okay. All right.
can you, we also have Lindsay update, just bring us up to date on what's going on with solar projects.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we are, the town, various, department head representatives or department representatives and the town manager have been coordinating with Revision Energy to develop some conceptual plans for solar arrays, ground mounted solar arrays, to be laid out for some of the new well, properties, wellheads at Sewell Well and, Tucker Well. Those are the two sites that we're looking at right now. We actually just this morning received a preliminary layout, so we have some additional, work to do in kind of finalizing a conceptual preliminary design. I don't have answers on the size of that yet. It's just kind of a first cut at layout of the array and where it would fit with considerations for wellhead protection, zones, the 400-foot radius around the wellhead, and then also, at least for the Tucker Well site, the, shoreline protection zone because the Wiscasset River is, near that site. And there has been discussion about some roof-mounted solar projects, potentially looking at the school roofs for that, but I haven't seen any conceptual designs or recommendations on that yet. I'm not sure if that part is moving forward.
No
The-
update on the new road? The town owns the parcel, it's sort of behind the cemetery on 108, and then it's a landlocked piece of land. It's landlocked by both the railroad, the cemetery. So I think it's a piece of land that the town actually had deeded back to it by the railroad. Does that sound right? Or-
Is this the Wilson Farm area? I think I know where you're talking about.
It's a piece of land that can't really be developed because it literally can't be accessed by a road, I believe,
Yes.
and that's sort of in that vicinity. And that site has been talked about, I believe, for not just a little bit of time, but years as a solar site because of the lack of, you can't develop it. It's not,
Mhm.
and so it would be a perfect site, but we can't, I believe, it was an Eversource issue, like they would not grant us permission to hook up anything there. Does that sound right?
Possibly. That had been discussed prior to my involvement, so I kind of came in at the tail end of some discussions on that property. And my understanding is that access, even for construction, the access that the town has to that is extremely narrow, and it would require construction of a new road with a culvert because there's a wetland crossing there to get across. And the bridge over the railroad in Newfields, that wooden bridge, there was some discussion about not having three-phase power along New Road, so they would have to bring three-phase power from 108 down New Road and cross that bridge, which would be an expensive hurdle. So in the discussions about potential sites, that one kind of fell off the radar in terms of looking for something more cost-effective to develop for solar array.
Okay, that makes sense.
Two questions. The sites, the well sites there, is that strictly to run the pumps at the wells, or is it also to generate power to put back into the grid?
I believe it would be both. It would be more of a net metering situation where the power generated during use of the pump and equipment there could be solar to begin, and then when there's excess, it goes back to the grid. I also know there's some discussion about how the offset, the excess solar, how that would be used, whether it would be offset to water system operations or general town, and there are still some things to work out with that.
Okay. I forgot what my second question was.
Okay.
Damn.
I mean, you'd still have to get, depending on how much power you were generating, would depend on what kind of hookup you would have to have, I'm sure, and whether or not you'd have to get like Eversource to sign off on it, I think, still, right? The hookup part is, I mean, like, if you're doing net metering at your house, you just get a net meter. It's not that big of a deal. But if it's a larger project that's feeding energy into the grid, then I thought that requires a special hookup, which they can prioritize sort of at their leisure.
Yes. I'm not sure if it's, or I'm not sure what type of special hookup it is. It is a different hookup than you get for residential.
Yeah.
But it can be done in a similar way so that it is still connected and feeding back to the grid when you're producing excess power, more than you're using.
I remember my other question.
Okay.
Grants, okay? There's a whole lot of grants out there now, and now there was something else Mike Cahill was sending to me. Are you on top of what grants are out there, or how do you get notified about that?
I guess I would say I'm not necessarily on top of grants for municipal solar projects currently. I am starting to get more aware of that. I know Bart has been aware of many of them through various planning organizations, because I think that's kind of where they start funneling out. So I am not really sure where to get more involved in that, other than some professional organizations and kind of signing up for newsletters on those announcements.
If we get stuff or something comes to our attention, can we send it to you?
Yeah.
And then you can
Definitely.
deal with it, whatever?
Yep.
Okay, because this latest one that Mike sent me, I don't know if I sent it to everybody, or sent it back. There was a line in there. The state is looking at a grant. They're in the process of developing the RFP, I guess. And in it, they say that maybe 100% of infrastructure projects if it's on town or municipal property. So I'll send that to you. You can.
Yes.
I started going through it. It's a typical government thing where they start asking a million questions and make it kind of difficult, I thought.
Yeah, and I know in a lot of those cases too, companies like Revision that we're working with are well aware of what those grant opportunities are, and once we have a preliminary design and some sort of proposal to put forth for a project, then we're in a better situation to pursue some of those. We're kind of still formulating that plan right now, so depends on where we fall with the preliminary design. But yes, please forward those types of things to me.
Should we do like just a general rule there, if there's any correspondence between Lindsay, whatever, to send it to the chair as well, CC the chair as well?
Oh, yeah,
or
of
is that-
course, yeah.
And then you can decide what you wanna do.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for attempting, I guess, inadvertently attempting to skip around. I saw the master plan.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that that was specifically, it didn't say what we were asking Lindsay about. So I thought, okay, it's time to deal with the master plan. Update on Newmarket Community Power, Joe.
Okay, we're doing good. So next Wednesday, 6 o'clock, there is a workshop for the town council. Henry's going to walk through the next step of approvals that the town has to do. Basically, it's the cost sharing agreement, the member services agreement, and then a couple of policy documents that Community Power has. So after the workshop, it'll be, the town council will actually vote on the second reading, and will actually approve those documents. And as it stands right now, we're looking this spring, April timeframe for implementing community power in Newmarket, okay? So which brings us to kind of like the next step, which is
Telling people about it.
we need to somehow, the social media account, I don't know.
Well, that does circle us back around to the social media account. And we have a logo that we could be using.
Yep.
Because I don't know, did we ever get a finalized logo
Yeah.
from them?
Yes, we do have a finalized version of it.
Okay.
We can send everybody.
Yeah, let's get that around to everyone, and that sounds like the kind of thing we should put in our shared drive. That we need. We can go ahead and create a shared drive. It's just that Steve is concerned about like who has the keys to it, like, and if that person disappears off the face of the planet, then the town loses that. So Lindsay, do you have, is it that like maybe we put you as shared on that shared drive, and that way you always have access to it? And since you're a staff person, then there's a chain of custody, so to speak.
Yeah, that would make
Okay.
sense.
All right.
So one of the things I was thinking, for the elections in March, if we could have some stuff to hand out, that may be a good place to have it. I've got some stuff that I can pass around, you know. pass
Oh,
out a
lovely. Is
couple
this
of
from
them.
Henry?
Yeah. We have to make a minor modification to this, and Steve already picked up on it, and that under the background, it says that the town, it was approved as a warrant article. Steve said,
Incorrect.
no, it's not a warrant article. So, we have to modify that.
Most towns, non-cities, most towns do have,
Right.
would approve this by warrant article, but we are a council form of government.
So, and then, Dover did something interesting, but this would take a lot of, work. They made these little things, like that's one view, and that's one done this way, you know, something like that.
A little pamphlet.
A little pamphlet, but if you open it up, okay, you print it on regular 8.5 by 11, but somebody has to cut it and do the holding, and
Yeah.
maybe something that,
Thanks.
Will the town allow,
Absolutely.
provide funding for mailing it out? Or is this for
Um,
handmail?
I'm sure the town wants.
I mean,
I
yeah,
don't wanna
who's
speak for
putting
the
the bill?
town, but, I
Any
can
of this
guarantee-
costs money, even if we just
that-
hand it out.
That Community Power did that, okay?
Okay.
And, so we may be able to get them to do that if,
Oh, okay. I didn't even think to say community power provide any funding.
Well,
But
will
but
they do
this-
something specific for Newmarket though? Because this just teaches them about community power, but this isn't
Right.
gonna tell them, oh, starting April 1st, you're gonna be switched over by default to Newmarket Community Power.
Who did you
Yes.
say did the little pamphlet that
Dover.
was holding?
So
Dover did it themselves?
that's where maybe the other little pamphlets would come in, or we have to do more,
But-
education. you know.
But as a member community of Community Power Coalition, would they provide us with something?
I think Dr.
Funding
Henry can
wise,
ask him,
like printouts and stuff for, how many households do we have? Something like 3,000-4,000?
9,000?
5,000?
5,000?
I think there's
Households.
like 5,000 accounts.
Okay.
Of the
'Cause we need
Eversource
5,000
accounts.
things.
There
Yeah,
will be a
that's money.
mailing, initial mailing informing people that as of such and such a date, they're
Right.
going to whatever, and they have the ability to opt out.
Yeah.
That will go to.
That's like the legal official mailing so that they
Yes.
can opt out, but like, I
And
want
it-
something pretty that they can be like, oh, we've got community power now, you know?
Maybe,
I'll ask if we can include something in that.
That would be great. So is that your action item to follow up? Well, you already have to follow up with Steve, follow up with, Henry on, and the town council, I suppose, on like, where is the money for
put in
a
the-
flyer slash potential mailer? Mailers are very expensive.
If we can't get money for the mailing portion of it, maybe putting pamphlets in the town clerk's office, or maybe even the library would be willing
Yep.
to be a resource for that.
The other place you might wanna put something, depending if we're ready by the time, in January is when the town report gets written.
Go out with the town report.
So you
That's
could,
good.
for the energy and
Great
environment section, you could have a big write-up about this. But I think if we could get cards like this, if we could either mail them or put them in the town clerk's office, cause almost everyone comes through the town clerk's office at some point. That would be good.
Well, at least once a year to,
Or I also like the idea of if we could have it out in March when we vote, that would also be good.
no, I think all of that. So at the polls, library, town clerk, and if we can afford it, a mailer. Everybody, like you said, everybody goes through the town clerk's office at least once a year to register their vehicles, but we only have,
A few months.
by the time this is ready, like 6 months
Yeah,
max
no,
before we go
It's
live.
not gonna be everybody, but it would
Yeah.
get a good number of people if we could get it in the next couple of months.
Sure, sure.
Well, I think we have, let's say, we have stuff by January,
Right.
whatever, we've got, a couple of months to decide what to do.
Well, and the reason I would ask Henry is because they have their graphics team, they have all that, they can throw together something for us, and then it doesn't come down to like me and Roberta or me and you or whatever to design something.
Can I see the Dover thing?
Yeah.
Cute.
I like the little, but I want it to be pretty colors like this.
Yeah, well, I actually want to see Henry tomorrow, so.
Perfect.
We could just ask, if it comes down to us, we could just ask Dover for their electronic file and insert Newmarket. Like, just copy from them.
And we gotta put in our logo. I'm all about our
Oh,
logo.
definitely put in our logo.
Well,
Yeah.
even that doesn't have like Dover Community Power logo. It's
No, I know.
Community Power Coalition logo on that.
I know.
I want like, cause really what I
You
want.
wanna see the logo? I can.
See it?
Yeah, bring it up. What we talked about before was doing like, not just flyers, but like swag,
Mhm.
right? Like, we were talking about those little netted bags that you use to get produce, the reusable produce bags, and having like the Newmarket Community Power logo on it.
As long as somebody pays for
There it is. There she
Oh,
is.
it's beautiful.
It's based on the overall design is based on our town seal, obviously, but it's streamlined and stylized. I actually think that our town seal should be more streamlined and stylized. We went through some interesting iterations, but you will see that the lightning bolt in the water behind the boat, and of course the green lightning bolts.
Yeah,
So
cute.
the lightning behind the boat there, is, on all community power.
Yep.
Logos.
Oh.
And you can see their Community Power Coalition logo for the whole coalition is a lightning
Has it.
bolt between the mountains and the water. So that's their deal. A lot of the towns have a sun and like is it lightning bolts coming out of the sun or something like, or lightning bolt on the sun or something like that. We don't have a sun in our seal and we wanted to stick with our seals, so. All right.
It looks a lot like Dover's. Did you see how similar
Oh,
it is to Dover's?
I didn't see, I saw the
I
black
mean,
and
it's
white.
got the lightning bolt in the water just like theirs does. The only difference is they have a train. It's got the mill buildings. It's got the
that's
trees.
Do they have that weird mosque-looking dome that we almost got? Because one of the iterations had
No.
a
But
dome that
look
we
at
just
it. I
don't
mean,
have.
it's really close to ours. It's not that dissimilar.
I didn't,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we
Yeah, we-
didn't, our
I mean,
version over
we
here.
gave the idea to somebody at,
Oh,
yeah.
but they do have one.
Because we went back and forth with the graphics team. Oh, that's their mill, yeah. It's kind of almost reverse, and they don't have a
Yeah.
boat.
They have a train instead of a
They have a
boat.
train instead of a boat. Okay.
Ours originally had the mills, but then, Sarah or whatever thought that, they were kind of draconian, you know, or old, Soviet Union type thing.
Yeah, well, one of the iterations had a cross on one of the buildings,
Right,
which
in
was
the
funny because it was supposed to be like for the Newmarket Community Church.
Oh, and they don't have a cross.
They don't have a cross. So it's like, why are we inserting a non-historical, non-existent cross? And then there was one that had like this funky dome, which also doesn't exist anywhere in our skyline.
Right.
So,
Neat.
all right. I don't know if, um,
So we are now on.
well, I think I skipped over an action item, which is, who wants to start the Google Drive? I can if people want me to do it, and then I can just, with the understanding and the disclaimer that we are not allowed to do shared documents where we're commenting, and I share Lindsay on it so she can make sure everything, but I can upload things from the previous iteration of the Energy Environment Committee. And then you can upload like all the stuff you've got, and we can just throw everything into one location.
If you're willing to do it, that's great.
I,
Do we need
I'm,
to vote?
no, it's just an action item, a task. Do you, me or you?
You go.
Okay,
You've got it.
I just need to write it down or else I'll forget. I tell y'all I have 19 bills in.
For the state.
It's insane, just insane. Start, G Drive, share, Lindsay, upload, everything. All right, cool.
One other thing I forgot to add, there are now 42 communities, signed up for community power.
Awesome.
In the state.
And it's the answer to the meaning of life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah.
All right. So we're done with Newmarket Community Power status, although I think we're going to bring up Henry's name. Oh, well, the public education about Newmarket Community Power, I know, but like I wanted to we did talk about doing like an event, like a fair or something downtown, or, and then like having like swag, even if we did like little like chapsticks or something. Do we want to explore that also we're looking at the cold part of the year now,
Yeah.
so
Maybe
not
an
really
indoor
outdoor,
event here.
yeah, not really outdoor event weather.
No, maybe something here. Before we commit to doing swag, we need to find
Money.
out if there's money.
Yeah, I know. Little small details, Roberta. Any other thoughts on the ability to do that?
No, I think for now, between the town clerk's office, I think that's a really good idea, and, the polls, the election.
Just
and
flyers.
That's a pretty, good idea, I think, that's a
Okay.
bunch of people. And then anything else we can do above that is gravy.
I wonder if we can get the LED board that goes up when there's like gonna be a road closure and all that stuff. Like it probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, LED board, switching to Newmarket Community Power. Can we
Wendy.
ask about?
Yeah.
Just
Alright.
email Wendy about that.
Well, Joe talks to all the
All
town
the
councilors
peoples.
and Steve
Right.
and everybody, so Joe's like, he's basically been the town liaison effectively, but, whoever's job it is.
Right.
Okay. And then anything else on outreach, education? Okay. All right. So the proposed master plan, this is maybe 50% done. Roberta and I met several times. And the main thing was to clean it up because we felt that it was, and especially me, very disorganized. So we reorganized the whole thing. There are places where we definitely need to wordsmith. There are places that just need to be filled in, because like literally we just don't have any words.
Have an outline in some
It's an
sections.
outline, right, it's an empty placeholder. So the preface is, in reviewing the Newmarket Town policies and master plan, the Energy Environment Committee, Advisory Committee found the documents to be lacking in energy policies and plan. By the way, whatever I didn't write, I think Joe wrote most of it, and I wrote some of it in meetings with Roberta, so thank you to Joe's work as always. The Energy and Environment Advisory Committee proposes the following be added as a new energy chapter to the Newmarket Master Plan. And I want to remind everybody that this is in addition to the other document, which will be our recommendation for adopting a list of essentially values, so that the master plan can list us, meaning energy and environment, as one of those values. Sustainability is one of those values. But this is just the energy plan section. Is it gonna let, yeah. So the introduction, first we cite the enabling legislation for the energy chapter. That's just citing RSA 674 that allows us to have an energy section. Pretty non-controversial stuff. Vision. So this is where a lot of it comes from, and there were pieces all throughout the document, and I just kind of combined them all into the vision section, but I still think it really needs to be streamlined and wordsmith. But the use of energy influences many facets of life in Newmarket today. Energy can affect municipal costs and operations, influence job growth and local economy, and impact the natural resources and quality of life that are so important to Newmarket residents. The overall vision for Newmarket is a community that supports and preserves its semi-rural character while simultaneously embracing effective emerging technology, environmentally progressive strategies, and local business opportunities. Newmarket's energy policies will play a significant role in achieving this vision. Newmarket residents, landowners, and business owners can benefit from the town becoming a more energy secure and sustainable community. Environmentally progressive, responsible policies with respect to energy generation, building standards, land use patterns, and transportation are critical to Newmarket's long-term sustainability. Without proper attention, unmanaged growth puts communities at risk of exhausting their environment and what makes them unique and desirable places to live, work, and visit. The built environment has a profound, and the only reason I'm reading this out loud is because we don't have a shared version that we can all wordsmith. So the built environment has a profound impact on natural environment, economy, health, and productivity. Sustainable development is a pattern of resource use that aims to meet the needs of the community today and protect the needs of its future while preserving the environment. Sustainable development ties together concern for carrying capacity of natural systems with the social challenges facing individuals and communities. Communities can achieve sustainable development by integrating land use and resource-based strategies with economic development approaches that benefit the local environment and quality of life. The infrastructure for energy use and delivery can influence land use decisions about where growth occurs and where we live, work, and recreate. New Hampshire state law encourages energy-efficient patterns of development through zoning that does not unreasonably limit development of alternative and renewable sources of energy. Reduction in energy consumption can also be achieved through implementation of conservation measures, smart growth, and development of alternative transportation systems. Sustainable practices are aimed at guiding how new development is constructed to attain energy efficient and efficiency and conservation, and to promote the sustainable use of sustainable materials and energy. So I think that's super wordy.
I think it's great.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, I agree.
I think it could be reduced, but I didn't, that wasn't even my priority at this point. My priority was to just say, what is the vision section? And then this is the vision. So all the language that tied to vision, that was put in here. Any other comments that people, I don't know if we want to get into actually wordsmithing it, but if there's major deficiencies that we need to change, feel free to shout out.
I think if we kind of my
Keep going.
suggestion is we just keep going through it.
Okay.
you know, it's kinda hard to
And-
wordsmith on the fly here. like
Right,
this.
right. So if anything's like just really blaring at people, then by all means, but like, let's not get into the nitty gritty of like
Yeah.
where we put our thes and us. Let me kind of just kind of stop reading right there so I can kind of give you a preview, because that's the vision. So we had the enabling legislation as the start, the vision, which is like, this is our vision of energy in Newmarket, and then objectives. So this is where we mention the resolution, for example, because these are our goals, right? Then we have an energy profile of the town. Newmarket Joe helped a lot with getting some of the data here.
I'm working on getting updates for this
And
as well.
not just updates, but we need more, more data, and I put these purple lines in. And then,
I think this is something Lindsay can help us with.
Yeah.
yes,
We
as soon as Steve said, oh, your staff person will help with research, I'm like, oh, good, I've got lots. And then, so this is just a snap, so or the section 4.0 through point 3 is just really like assessing what our current energy consumption is, and I would like to include projected growth. So that may mean, so right now what the data we have only goes back like a couple years, but if we don't have any sources for that already project our growth, I would like to like go back maybe 20 years and see what our growth pattern is.
I don't know if they have that.
What do you think, Lynn?
Something, even if it's just population data, right? Like something so
Yeah.
that we can kind of project how much energy are we going to need in the future.
And maybe look at what housing developments have been proposed, because housing developments bring new growth.
Good point.
Yeah, I'm not sure of anything, that's already been prepared for projected growth outside of, I know like water and wastewater have like full build out types of projections. We could kind of mirror something like that, or, yeah, or go on population
That's-
trends, but
The water and sewer is probably the best apples to apples approach,
utility
because
use
we're
for build
basically
out.
the same houses or whatever, buildings that'll be using water and sewer are also the ones that are gonna be using energy
Sean
consumption.
probably has some, he's the director of the water and sewer. He probably does have some good stuff, okay?
He has full build out projections
Yeah.
for wastewater system.
Ah, that might be helpful. And my point right now is not to get, because I can go through and like read these things, but the point is to like tell you guys that 4.0 is an assessment of what our current energy use is, and I would like to include, to the extent that we're able, some sort of data to help us guess how much energy we're going to need in the future, because it's going to be dependent on population growth. It's going to be dependent on how efficient we go forward from here on out, but also, like on the one hand, increasing efficiency is going to reduce our need, but then we also are moving to electric vehicles, right? And that's going to vastly increase our need. So it's good that we're moving away from fossil fuels, but it means that we need to prepare for the future and make sure that we have enough electricity, especially since we will be the providers of said electricity as the town of Newmarket.
So one suggestion I would make would be, you might want to, I mean, I think the best thing would be to suggest that these are the types of things that we need to think about with our master plan. Part of what we're paying a lot of money to Stratford Regional Planning Council to do is to do exactly that kind of research, right?
Oh, good.
They will do, we can consult with them about, you know, what are some ways that we can involve energy planning in our master plan. What I think this advisory group can do is advise that it makes sense to look at, you know, these items in the master plan. I think particularly with the fact that we've already engaged and we're like almost committing 6 figures to this group that we're paying.
They can do the research.
They can do the research, and quite honestly, that's what we're paying them. What I, again, think, this is an advisory group. it could advise some bullets. Here's some bullets that we think would be important to put in the plan.
Yeah,
And to spend hours and hours wordsmithing and rewriting this, when they're going to do all of that, what we want to do is say, we think these are some points that should be in it.
So, so that's kind of like these
Where this
highlighted
is
purple
headed.
sections is like, we need this data. And so you think just like leave it at, we need this data.
And even like the things that you're wondering about, like, well, should we wordsmith this section? And I
Well,
think
this
just
is not the wordsmith one. This is just charts.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the whole thing where you just, like,
Well,
even in those sections, I would say you've conveyed at least enough of a general point across to continue to rewrite that. I don't think is a good use of your time. That's just my advice to this committee, because again, it's going to be, you know, now
Rewritten
now
by
that we've
people being paid
engaged
a
this
lot.
group, it's going, yeah, they're going to really hone it and rewrite it and do all of that stuff.
All
So,
about letting the professionals do their job.
and
Is
so,
that your understanding? I wasn't aware that they were actually gonna rewrite chapters. Is that-
I believe they are, yes. I'm not sure which ones specifically, but yes, I believe that was the idea with this kind of overhaul of the master plan.
that's what they do, Joe. That's what you,
most of where,
that's exactly why you contract with them, is they are the
most
kind
of
of
where
agency that
Ellen
produces.
and I are headed on this is bullet points anyway.
We
Yeah.
really,
The next few sections are.
right.
We need these bullet points, we need to tell them to think about this and this and this and.
Yeah.
It's pretty much how we've, so again, the point of what I'm doing right now is to go over the outline. So we had that enabling RSA as the introduction, we had a vision that was like very wordy and lovely and like, we're gonna be a wonderful town. And, then we had our goals, our objectives. And then this one is our snapshot of what everything looks like right now in terms of energy use. And then when we get to 5.0, here are these recommended actions that we want to take. Now this has not been, I need to clean all this, it's highlighted in blue because we need to clean it up. But we want to break the suggested actions into actions concerning efficiency. And then we can subdivide that into the public and private sectors. And then also clean energy generation and procurement. So that's where, and also that can be subdivided into public and private potentially. But the point is that we're breaking these action items down into what is the town doing to be efficient on the town level? Is the town doing to help others in the private sector be efficient? And then clean energy generation and procurement, what is the town doing to itself make sure we're reliant on clean energy, but also encourage other people to go to clean energy? And that's why, you know, the Newmarket Community Power will be super central to this particular section. There is another, and then private incentives would be the private side. There is another, and then we do summary, but I skipped over something under recommendations, and that is transportation. So just to get to the end, so action recommendations, and then a summary of what we talked about, which is also not, and that's an outline that we're still working off of. So 6 sections, that's the introduction, the vision, the objectives, the snapshot of where we are right now, the action recommendations, action items, and then the summary. Does that feel like it makes more sense than the first version in terms of like organization?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the first version was, hey, here's a bunch of shit.
It was everywhere.
Throw it out, see what's.
What is Rye doing exactly?
Um,
That's why you hire professionals.
the summary section, what is the summary gonna cover? What?
So I think it's just basically like more of a 30,000 foot view of like the recommendations. Like, we really want to be a sustainable town. This is where we want to go. Here are our objectives. And to meet those objectives, we're going to do this and that. Now, the bullet points that exist are from the previous document, so it's not, these are not, This is just where I pasted the previous document's bullet list, but that won't look like that. It'll be a little bit more organized and probably not quite as specific.
So, when I first joined the committee, I had an understanding in my head, but maybe I made it up in my head, that we were writing this to present to the town
The planning board.
council
Yeah.
or the planning commission,
Yeah.
do we even need that step if the regional planning commission is writing our master plan for us?
No, the planning board will, the planning board actually has final say over what's in the master plan.
Okay,
The planning board has engaged, we got a grant to help with our master plan. And then we went out to find agencies that could help us.
and that's where they come in.
And that's where Stratford Regional Planning Commission comes in, because they have planners on staff that write master plans. That's specifically what they do. So then they were awarded our contract. So they will work with the planning board, but there will also be public meetings where people can
Right.
come in and
And
comment on any part of the master plan, and public hearings where, you know, there's an opportunity for the public to be involved as well. But again, this advisory committee is providing some information on an energy plan, because we don't even have that in the current plan. And the idea was, when we update the plan, we should include an energy plan in that.
Do you know if Stratford Regional, who you've contracted with, is aware that we intend, as a town, we want to have an energy plan in our master plan? Like, is that even something that they're aware that we want? And does it make sense for us to still have this kind of like bare bones, like, here's what we're thinking, send it over to you all, and you send it to them?
I mean, I think you could submit it at any point to the, I mean, I think submitting it sooner as opposed to later makes sense.
But we're still sending it to you?
To the planning board, you would send it to the planning board. Just send
Send
it to Bart.
Lindsay, give it to Bart. And
Yeah.
Bart will get it to the planning board.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Bart, you can go to Bart, but,
Would our next meeting be too late?
Oh, no, no.
no. No, they haven't, we don't even have it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
We've been full on with the development that we're talking about.
Okay.
But the planning board is aware that there's an energy plan being worked on by the Energy and Environment Advisory Committee. I would not use the words that they have said that the town needs an energy chapter. They're aware that you guys are working on it, because I've told them that repeatedly. But I don't think they've taken any position on whether they need an energy plan in the master plan, because they haven't had one in there before.
Dueling committees.
Yeah, there's never been an official statement. They're just, because they haven't undertaken writing the master plan.
Right.
So it's not that they've rejected it, they haven't said they're for or against it, they haven't even considered
That's
that.
sort of how our advisory role works.
We're advising.
Right,
Yeah.
advising, exactly.
We're advising and whatever body we're, see, our mission is specifically to the town council, not the planning board. Does that make it okay for us to?
I don't think there's any problem with
Okay.
doing it. I just
a
don't
good
wanna, you know, there isn't, they're not at the point where they're like saying, this is what we're gonna put in it, this is what
No.
we're not gonna put in it.
Right.
Or taking any official position, because honestly, they haven't even talked about it yet.
Okay.
They haven't even, like, started the process yet, so they don't have any thought other than, we know we need to update it. You need to modernize it.
Okay.
It's not reflective of current master plan thinking, I would say is a fair statement about our master plan. It doesn't reflect kind of what master plans look like that most towns have, because we just haven't updated it recently.
I think it's incontrovertible that it's a very important thing to plan for the future. It's why the RSA was created to enable us. It's why Rye has it. And I know it's because so many towns haven't thought systematically about planning. They think about planning their roads, they think about planning where commercial buildings will go and where residences will go, but they don't, we just culturally haven't thought long-term in a systematic way about how we're going to source and use our energy responsibly. And I think we understand that the writing is on the wall. It's objectively true that that is a very, very important thing to consider.
There is a section in the current master plan, a statement that references an energy plan, but there is no.
But there is no energy plan.
Even though it references it. And for your, when we started this, yes, there was no plan for rewriting the master plan, whatever. So
Right.
it was, yeah, we're gonna do a chapter, we'll give it to the planning board. They
Right.
own it, and if they approve it, then it'll get
Then,
through.
then
That was the original plan.
Lovely. So
Well,
when
I'm-
we do present, it'll be as a recommendation, not as,
Well, always.
here, you wanted an energy plan, so we're giving you one.
Here's
Well,
our
it was
suggestion.
always, it's in our
It's
name,
always a
advisory,
recommendation.
everything is always a
Under
recommendation from
advisory.
us because we don't really
We
make
don't have any
decisions.
power
Yeah.
other than advising.
Don't remind us. So.
Steve will remind you that an advisory, at the last meeting, he said that, an advisory committee advises the
Advises,
town
yeah.
council. They offer advice.
If we were not advisory, there would be a solar panel on every rooftop and a chicken in every pot. So.
And if you were there, he'd slap your hand too.
So, I think it's awesome that you've, contracted with professionals. It takes a lot of pressure off of us. So I think with that in mind, knowing that we don't have to have
Should
put our
make
best
our
foot forward with the
meetings a lot
planning
shorter.
board, but just have like a basic, this is what we're thinking kind of thing, then I think it's a reasonable goal for me and Roberta and up to 2 more people to, have something that we can hopefully vote on next meeting.
Yeah, that would be great.
I will also add, we are also charged with developing a detailed plan to get us to 2030s and 2050. And this is kind of like a
Beginning.
outline for doing
Mhm.
that too, so.
Yes.
And
So
I
we
think
do
that's
this.
important to emphasize. I think the most important, some of the most important things or things you've talked about is that communities in the past did not think about it, but now is different, and we do need to think about it. And we need to think about the goals, 2030, 2050. And we also, because of community power and the possibility of developing our own power sources in town, all of these things are so different than anything we've ever had. So it really calls out the need for a good energy plan.
Absolutely.
So I do want to emphasize that this work that this group has done has been so important, not to, it's.
Just because the planning board doesn't think so.
I think it's more just they haven't,
Right.
they've been busy, there's been a lot of projects coming before the planning board.
understand.
And that's their number one thing, so they haven't had as much time. They were focused on the, some updates, there was the ADU, ordinance that we passed to try and encourage ADUs to be built. So they've been working on some other things also, housing's obviously such a big issue right now.
I should tell you separately offline about legislation it's my legislation, but it's likely to pass
Yeah.
this
so
upcoming year on ADUs.
There have been, it's not that they're ignoring it, and hopefully we'll be pivoting to that in 2024.
No, I just think it's like you said, it's cultural to not even think of that as something that we have to plan for.
Yep.
Power comes to us on lines and we flip on a switch and then we flip off a switch and it just takes care of itself. It's fine.
Right.
But we know that that's not actually the case. So anyway, as far as the specific plan, and that would be something that goes straight to the council, I think, from us. That is basically, I understand this whole 5.0, the recommendations, the actions that we recommend, that would be basically the outline for that more fleshed out plan. But that's where, what efficiency measures are we undertaking for the town? What efficiency measures are we taking for private sector? And then, where are we getting our energy? Most of that's gonna be CPC&H. And then like a recommendation to increase on a yearly basis our renewable portfolio on as the default on CPC&H. But also incentives to build solar panels, and also how do we address incentivizing or enabling giving access to low to moderate income people or people in developments, right? So HOAs. So like all of these things are briefly mentioned here. Not we haven't finished this version, but what I foresee is this 5.0 through 5.3 or 4 becoming the beginning place of that plan that we submit to the town council as our energy plan pursuant to the resolution that we passed saying that we have to make an energy plan. I do have one. Oh, go ahead.
No, I absolutely agree with that.
So like I said, this 5.0, all the recommendations, it was efficiency, and then also energy generation and procurement. And then we don't have it here, but transportation. Transportation is a big thing. I just spoke with Carol Gulla, and I think you met with her at a meeting recently. So next meeting, I would like to put on the agenda bringing Carol Gulla in. Maybe you and I can meet with her before then, separately. She operates a nonprofit kind of on-call service for transportationally challenged individuals, and she will be very helpful in helping us kind of assess the feasibility of what can we do as a town to offer public transportation. And I think like there are other people we can ask, but if Joe and I meet with her before the next meeting, we can kind of suss out exactly, what we want to talk about. After that, there's Mark Heisen who's the operation manager at Wildcat, and also Rad Nichols, who is the executive director at Coast. And both of those people will have a wealth of knowledge that we can pick their brains on about creating a town-based transit system, whether it's cars on call, 15 passenger vans, whatever, what would that look like? The transportation system. So when we talk about transportation, I mean it's so multifaceted, because we're talking about transportation in the lens of energy. So we can talk about it from an efficiency standpoint. How does it affect our planning for our roads and the walkability? We want to maximize walkability. We want to maximize bikeability, right? But also, we know that there's going to be more electric vehicles, so we have to plan for EV stations. And then also the transit, because there are always going to be people who cannot afford or cannot drive, for whatever reason, a car. So it's completely multifaceted, but just talking about the idea of us creating a transit system. And one of the reasons it's so important to pick up that slack is because Wildcat stopped servicing us, and they were our connection north. Coast still operates, and I think most people in Newmarket don't realize this. Anyone in Newmarket can call an on-call service from Coast. You can be picked up at your nearest bus stop, Coast bus stop, and go along the Route 7 path up into Exeter. The question is, if you wanted to go anywhere else other than Stratham and Exeter, how would you get there by public transportation? If you wanted to go 10 minutes north to Durham, how would you get there by public transportation without?
You have to take the bus to the train.
Yes,
and the train to
I've just told
Durham.
him. There is a way to get to Durham 10 minutes north by public transportation. You would have to do the on-call Coast, Route 7, meet them at the bus stop, take them into downtown Exeter, wait for the train, and then take the Downeaster to Durham or Dover. And that is the best public transit way. So you're talking about over an hour of public transportation just to go 10 minutes, what you could do 10 minutes in a car. So it's a really important facet that I think we need to address. I would like to put Carol Gulla on the next agenda, and then we can talk to her in the meantime and kind of detail out what we want to talk about. But there's like a big placeholder here, like transportation.
All I can say is, I know there's a need, a great big wish list. It doesn't look promising.
Sure.
Did you tell me something, Joe, about Wildcat has a funding that they were hoping to have is now in question?
Coast.
Coast, sorry.
Yeah, they
Federal
get
funding?
funding from the state and whatever, but, at the meeting they had, they were announced that they had a $450,000 deficit that they were working on, and if that deficit stayed, they would have to stop the on-call service to Newmarket. Since that time, they've said, we found some additional money and we will continue the on-call service to Newmarket for the next year at least. Okay, but it's still a possibility it may go away. And also too, they don't run every day of the week. They only offer certain days of the week. And don't, I'm not sure what they are. But, so right now, we're back to, where we have been for like the last year.
Every once in a while, on the Facebook community pages for Newmarket, somebody will post a request for a ride
Yeah.
to get to work in some other town.
Yeah.
And it always blows up because either the person who responded and offered to drive them didn't realize they would also need a ride home and got mad when they were asked, just asked for being given a ride home. Or the person that needed the ride is angry that nobody thought to ask them if they needed a ride back, and they were annoyed to find out. So there really is, and then there are people who post, is anybody hiring? I live in this section of Newmarket, I have no car. I have to be able to walk there.
Right.
I agree. We need a transportation section, and, I don't know what can be done, but
Well,
there's a need there.
the great thing about being an advisory committee is we don't have to worry about the money. We just advise.
Yeah, well,
We're like, this is
Right.
what we think we should do, and you
Yeah.
guys figure out how to pay for it.
Yeah. That's true.
But,
too.
it is, I think, like we were talking about doing education for the Newmarket Community Power, Coast, I used to drive for Coast, full disclosure. So I'm pretty familiar with transit. I also used to drive for Wildcat. Coast gets something like half of its revenue from federal grants, which are dependent upon ridership. So they cut routes that are have low ridership because they're not getting the matching funds from the federal government for it. So if we advertise that this Route 7 on-call service is available, I don't know that a lot of people know it.
That's exactly right. A lot of people don't know about it.
Then we're helping Coast, but they're getting every time they get ridership, they're getting federal dollars.
I think that's a good discussion to have with Carol, is that, what can we do, what's her suggestions maybe?
And then we also have to ask, if we talk to Wildcat and I know these conversations have already happened, Wildcat and Post, what level would they need from Newmarket to stay providing that service? And then we understand from Carol, like, is it going to be cheaper to go with them or cheaper to just have drivers on our own? All we can do is talk about it. Anything else? Did anybody want to go ahead?
So what are the next steps? And then also too, I think, if we want Lindsay to do something, we need to be specific and
Right.
asking her.
Well, it kind of took me in a different direction now, because with the understanding that we'll have like paid people working on this, and this is what they do, is they write it, but they research it in order to write it, right? That's like literally what they're getting paid to do. Because I wanted our municipal vehicle data, including like our efficiency, like how efficient are our vehicles, how much are we spending in fuel. I wanted.
We do have that information, for public works.
Oh, okay, but it wasn't in here. And then the municipal usage for just energy for our properties. We don't have any information there. I know this information exists. And then, like I said earlier, the growth projections, that's something that they can do. They're being paid to research. They can research that.
We should submit a list to Lindsay for her to find out where to get these
Well, but my point was, according to Patrick, there's these people getting paid lots of money to do this
To do
work.
this. Oh, yeah, I'm
I
just
think
saying
my
Lindsay's a
suggestion
good
is
liaison
we
for
have to
that,
send
right?
it to Lindsay. Lindsay would then talk with Bart, and Bart would then get it to that group to
To
see,
the
you know, what is
county
it that
group.
they will actually do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good, starting point. And if there are specific bullets or questions that you feel we need answers to, or you want to at least know for providing some guidance on the development of this
Mhm.
chapter or your plan, definitely send that stuff my way, and I can start gathering whatever information I can.
Okay, well, do you wanna just, it's the ones that are in purple here.
Okay.
We already talked about growth projections, however, like whether they, you know, pull population data and how that's changed over the years, sewer water data, and then like projected like technological developments. We would also like to know municipal usage, energy usage, and how that's changed over time.
Can you send this to me? I won't comment on it or whatever, but I'll rip off the purple stuff to send to Lindsay.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Sure. Share. Let me see. There you are. Look at that. How about, so that we can't be accused, I make you a comment? Well, no commenting. You'd have to be a viewer. Okay. And then municipal vehicle data as well. So like how many in our fleet, what the mileage is, how much are we spending on fuel. Just because we should include all this stuff as a snapshot of where we are and where we're going, where it looks like we're going.
We do have one police cruiser that is a hybrid, and
Cool.
the maintenance on it has been, as far as I understand, has been great, and
Awesome.
they've had nothing but good experience with it. The issue that they have is they can't get new ones. You know,
Mm.
you can't get them. It's hard doing that.
Mhm.
And I know in the monthly reports we get from Public Works, there's their fuel consumption reports that they have. So, I don't know if I assume the
And we
other
definitely
departments
have-
have that too.
Well, those were my research requests,
I think so.
but he can send you, he needed to be copied on that anyway. He can send you the rest and, or the summary. And then, was
I
there
mean,
any?
the bigger one on that one that I would love to see change, but I don't know how close it is the school buses that we use in town are diesel. And not only do they pollute more when they're running their routes, they leave them on for hours and hours because of, it's hard to warm up a diesel engine, you don't want it to get cold in the winter, all these things. So not only, you know, it's really polluting, but it's like we contract for our bus service. We do not own our buses, and I'm sure that the school board is very focused on what's the lowest transportation costs that we can possibly have. But it's at least worth asking if they're looking into, because other districts are converting to electric buses. It's not like there's not money out there to do it. It's just, it's usually larger districts that have their own transportation fleets that are doing it. But at least it's worth mentioning in the plan that we would encourage the schools to look at converting, because they're actually the largest public transportation system in town by far.
Yeah.
Is the school bus program.
Absolutely. And I can speak from personal experience in being with other drivers. So there's a law, I'm not sure, because we're governed under the Federal Department of Transportation. I think we're not supposed to idle for more than 5 minutes if it's above a certain temperature, like you can below to keep the heat on.
Yeah.
But drivers don't obey that, right? Like, and they do leave it idle for, and I can tell you that because I used to fuel these as part of my job, right? It's like 5 miles a gallon. It's really, really, really bad. The only reason buses are considered efficient is because you can, in theory, fit so many people on. But when you're driving a 50-foot bus, but you're carrying 3 people,
Then it's not
it's
efficient.
insanely inefficient.
Yeah,
So-
That's why communities and government entities get rid of public transportation.
Can they look at sourcing biodiesel in the meantime
Mm.
before they can get to converting? At least more carbon neutral.
Right. I wonder if we could do like a program with the we have so many restaurants in town, but I can't imagine they would actually make enough diesel to actually power the buses, I don't know.
Yeah, and again, you're dealing with a third party. I believe it's First Student that we contract through,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we don't have any
Direct
control over how they operate.
Mm.
We just pay them to do it. But yeah, I mean, it would be great if we at least considered that maybe in future contracts, if there was some other opportunity to look at.
Preference to electric vehicles or at least biodiesel.
I believe they're lucky just to get enough bus drivers.
Yeah.
As it is
CDL
right
is
now.
at a premium right now. Can't find them. I know I'm not driving for the school buses because that's a split shift and I don't do split shifts.
I'd kill 'em.
No, it's not even the
I would not
kids.
do that.
It's not even the kids because I can tune all that out. I just can't do like 6 a.m. work for 2 hours and then 4 p.m. work for 2 hours and then like, yeah, it's weird. All right. Is there anything else on like basically the flow of what we have so far, understanding that we have a lot of amending and changing and cleaning up to do, but that the outline now, the flow of it is, the organization of it is in place?
I think it's good. I think I feel we're making progress.
Right.
Okay? Yes, still needs work, but
Mhm.
we're getting somewhere.
We're getting somewhere. All right. If there's nothing else, and it's
So
been an hour and a half.
Next meeting and next steps?
So we already have so Roberta's gonna do Facebook, you're gonna follow up with
Yep.
Steve and also Henry, on the various things we talked about. I don't, my brain stopped. Next meeting is the last Wednesday of October, which is the 25th.
October 25th?
Yes, and I will be starting the Google Drive and making sure Lindsay's shared on it so that an official town person, I don't know, we're official, right? But an official paid town person has access to all of our documentation. Okey dokey? All right.
Need a motion to adjourn. I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor of getting out of here?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. See you next month. Hopefully with a